Hey everybody, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
And I am Commander Kongs, and we are in the future, obviously, although it's the present. But when we were told the launch date of the new Star Trek Discovery Season 3, that was the future. But now we have travelled, like Michael Burnham, into the future, which is now our present. And what more simple a skit opening could I do? But Stuart, what do you think of Discovery Season 3, Episode 1, the future one?
I miss Lower Decks.
Yeah, but it's only been 7 days, Stuart.
I know. Not really stoked about it. I mean, it's all right. It does have a good sci-fi feel. But like we've kind of said all along, it doesn't feel Star Trek to me. The last few minutes with the flag and stuff were kind of like, that's interesting. But other than that, just really super not impressed, to be fair. This first episode was very blah, and I was hoping there'd be more Discovery in it. Hopefully there's Discovery in Season 2, or Episode 2, I mean, because the Michael Burnham stuff just didn't cut it for me. And Discovery shuttles, again, still 930 years in the future.
Yes, I was looking.
Yes, there was, when they go to the...
Oh, well, that'll be a whole thing then, because that would be even more embarrassing. Yeah, so as I was watching it, I wasn't excited because of the other two seasons. And by the end of it, the last 6 minutes were good. So well done them. They end on a good note. But the rest of it, yeah, I was so 5 out of 10. Like, they didn't do anything wrong, really. Like, they didn't break any like, it didn't feel like, okay, they're making similar mistakes. It just felt like, why do I care? Because you're centered around this character, Michael Burnham, who is a poor character, and that's just be polite about it. Who honestly I felt also did a reset in this episode. She didn't feel like Michael Burnham season 1. Barely felt like season 2. She was way more just a brand new, more laughing, more joking, more exuberant. None of that emotional baggage of Sarah. They basically did a reset in the character to make her more enjoyable to watch, which I think she was. But I don't care about the character, and so therefore I care about the situation. But following her was uninteresting. The new character book was good, was fine. The actor did very similar to he did in Supergirl, just not a villain. So I was like, okay, this is just... It kind of felt like a guy just being rather than acting, which is fine. And then his reveal was good, but it was okay. It did nothing particularly good. I think the CGI was pretty good and definitely made Picard look a bit worse. It was the same team roughly. And yeah, I was amazed by how un-Star Trek it felt. I mean, you could easily remove maybe 3 things and it would be a generic. It would be dark matter. It would be Expanse. It'd just be any other sci-fi. Turns out when you leave all the Star Trek elements behind, it feels less like Star Trek, and definitely felt like Andromeda, as we all sort of thought it might, but it felt even more like Andromeda with how it was framed. So it was a weird experience I was sort of watching Star Trek, but really wasn't watching Star Trek. And when you lose the Star Trekkiness, you lose some interest, because that's why I'm watching Star Trek.
Yeah, it definitely felt like something different. I did like Book. I did like the character of Book. You're right, the CG was great, except for the disco shuttles. And the guy at the end, the Starfleet guy, telling me... We had this conversation when we first saw him, thinking he might be an artificial life form or a hologram or something. Apparently he's not. Apparently he is a human, and
just a poor guy that waited 40 years in a room.
Been sitting there for 40 years every day, all dressed up and snazzy. And we commented on how white his teeth looked, but now we know why, because he that teeth cleaning thing is pretty cool, gotta say.
No, he was great. That entire bit, I think what I was most impressed about, there wasn't a lot, but was that it didn't feel like Discovery either. Discovery has this darker tone where people are worse and situations are worse, and we're going to break canon, we're going to hurt the universe. But there was this odd optimism of Michael Burnham especially, which was weird to see, that yes, the Federation might have gone not through its own self-destruction, but through a technological thing, and we are going to repair it. It didn't go the nihilistic approach. It was like, okay, the universe has changed, and we're going to make it better. That was good. That was a positive version. I was very surprised. I thought they were going to go all, the Federation are dark and depressing, and now they're evil. Michael Burnham's like, oh no. But no, it was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, and that is we're going to move positive into the next chapter. It's like, okay, surprising tone. What do you think?
Well, considering how the whole landscape is basically depressing, considering everything that's happened and all the debris everywhere, I mean, it's still got that depressing feel, but I didn't get the optimism that you're
Well,
talking
the whole
about.
end was that, the guy's like, we have got Federation ships in range, so there is still a Starfleet, there is still a Federation. Yes, we're not as big, wide stretching thing, but we're gonna bring it back together. Here's the flag, cool, moving forward. Like it,
He hasn't run into any Starfleet officers in 40 years.
No, but he can see ships, so there are ships.
There's Federation ships. He said nothing about Starfleet ships. He said he was Starfleet. He saw 2 Federation ships within range. Federation, not Starfleet. There's a differentiation there.
The flag was a Federation flag. It wasn't a Starfleet flag, so therefore it's all the same. And there wasn't differentiation. It was just the Federation. Yeah, I don't think you even mentioned Starfleet specifically. It was about the Federation's gone. No, there's still Federation ships in range.
So yeah, I still think it's depressing and dark, and I'm just not super excited for anything. I wanted to see Discovery in a Discovery episode.
I'm happy without Discovery because it's still a bad design. So,
well, I don't care about the ship. I want to see the crew because I didn't want to follow Michael Burnham around for a full episode. So,
like I said, for me, it's a 5 out of 10. It did nothing wrong, and the ending was good. And I wasn't bored, but it wasn't very engaging. I appreciate them trying to make, like I say, Burnham a different character. She was more funny, more friendly, more open, more vulnerable.
She was drugged half the time.
She was drugged half the time, which was you wouldn't expect that from Discovery. It's unusual. So I liked that they weren't doing Discovery; they were doing a slightly different show. And the visual, I mean, like I said, the locations, while bland color palettes, which is odd given the fact they were quite bright. I appreciate at least they were on location. Like it was a very unique episode. Just should have been, not as Michael Burnham-y.
Yeah, there's not much Star Trek to really analyze in this episode, unfortunately. One thing that confused me for the first 2 times I watched it, but figured out on the 3rd time, was why she sent the suit back through the wormhole. And it was to send this last signal to Spock.
Mm-hmm. It was to close the plot hole that was absolutely going to be a thing.
Yeah, but I was like, why would you do that? You have a time travel suit. You can literally send it back whenever you feel like it.
Which clearly still works completely. And it was definitely an end. It was a beginning. It was as if the show knows this is absurd. We have to get rid of this because we can't keep this. Because she's got a device that can go anywhere in the quadrant, anywhere in time, that can scan any planet, scan the galaxy, fly around, has unlimited shields, EMP weapons, and can survive a crash from space into the planet without any damage whatsoever. Yeah, you gotta destroy it. So at least they removed it, but you would think she'd keep it at least half an hour. Although I guess the impetus is the wormhole's closing, and therefore you gotta go. You can't open another one. I guess.
Well, not with the crystals she has, but I mean, give her time. Find some more and fix the suit up, and then send that signal to Spock, and it can still arrive at the same time for Spock. So to send a suit away immediately after crashing like that was kind of dumb for me.
Yeah, it's still a flying spacesuit. The time crystal just is the time stuff, and also I didn't quite understand if Discovery is going through the same wormhole. How could the wormhole close? It's one wormhole. If the wormhole closes, how would it reopen at a later point? It's one wormhole. Like I know there were I know it's bullshit time travel stuff, but it shouldn't close because the same journey.
Well, apparently, from what I've heard, they arrive like a year later. So I don't know. They'll have some explanation for that, unless they've already given it to us, because he did say, well, with quantum mechanics, it could arrive tomorrow.
But that's not how the time suit. That's not how the time suit worked, though. We established it as a set parameter of time. It was always right. It got there. It was done. It created the wormhole. That's how it got through. I guess because Discovery wasn't generating the wormhole, maybe it wasn't as observant to that. But it's a wormhole. It's a direct travel conduit to the future. Why would it be different? So there's 2 wormholes, even though it wasn't. That was contrived. We got to do this. We got to do that. Oh, and one thing that annoyed me right from the start was that the problem with Discovery is that they've actively ruined the look of the future, as in the past of Star Trek now looks futuristic. So nothing in this felt futuristic to me because they've already done it all in Discovery.
And nothing felt like 930 years more advanced. I mean, yeah, the personal transporters were cool and pretty quick, but other than that, the holograms, it all felt like this is what she's used to. You
Yeah,
know,
you've walked off. You've walked off the ship, and there's no different. I mean, obviously the tactile sort of molecule-based thing looked cool, but actually felt less advanced than holograms to me, because holograms are energy being created and touchable energy in the air, and one is just matter that's moving via force fields. Like, that's less advanced, surely. Now, obviously, it can be made of nanites, but it looked less. It looked cooler because it's different, but it felt less advanced, and it amazed me that the art team had the exact same view screen display as on the Discovery. So why is Book using a 900-year-old interface? Because they've already done it too advanced. They've already ruined that. Same with Picard. It's a completely broken future. I mean, I know they like the conceit of the gun appears out of nowhere on a hand. It's like, what does that mean? Is it beaming in? Is it nanites? I mean, what? Okay, is that cool? And then it was just a pew pew. Okay, didn't feel very. Again, it was nothing advanced. I mean, aliens can do that normally, like in our present, as in the present of the, say, late TNG. So it was very strange, and I appreciate some of the effort, but
that's one thing I noticed right away, is that they made Discovery too advanced looking for the time period, and it just doesn't. It's 930 years later, man. Like, there should be fantastical stuff. I know that they've gone through this dark age, the burn. At least we got the explanation for the burn. I expected that to take 3 or 4 episodes at least. But they're kind of firing on all cylinders and getting things out of the way quickly, which I like. So I hope that it progresses quickly. But most of the dilithium just going boom one day. Suspicious. Looking forward to hearing the plot device that caused that. And that's going to be the season arc for this season, to just get to that realization of what happened. I love that it wasn't all dilithium. And I think that's going to create a very interesting plot device for the rest of the season, because when Discovery comes through, since they used dilithium, they're either going to be a target by everybody because dilithium is so rare that people are going to go after Discovery for their dilithium, or the Discovery is going to need dilithium and have a hard time finding enough that they need.
Although, since they have spore drive, it makes all other travel in the galaxy less.
Yeah.
Although they did mention slipstream, they mentioned the correct future tech stuff, which I liked, which is good, and I like that he had 3 or 4 versions of FTL travel, each of which uses a different fuel, and depends which fuel I can get my hands on, which is what you'd expect in the future. Good job. But yeah, I mean, Discovery coming in, yeah, but spore drive makes all that a little bit nullified if there are spores, obviously.
Well, yeah. I mean, we do see later in this coming up this season on, Stamets has like a gel interface that he puts his fingers into. So that was cool.
Makes sense. Future, the future lets you not be stabbed in the wrists every time. That'd be good. And the burn. I mean, I did like that. I liked that it obviously it's a alien enemy man-made. Somebody caused it, right? Obviously, some villain, some whatever. Was it the Federation themselves, or was it not? Great, that's fine. But it's a good simple thing. And in fact, I think I've told you this years ago during Trekyards, that I would have done something similar if I was trying to do a storyline. How do you downscale the universe? I remember I said to you, yeah, let's make dilithium less visible, because then you have to pick which ships you choose to go places, because it's a limited resource. I mean, if everyone's reliant on it, then even though we've got even though we've got Prometheus, but if you can't power it, doesn't mean Jack. So it's actually, I thought it was quite a good simple thing. Although then when they go to the planet, they're handing out dilithium and it's on a table, and it feels like they instantly show how rare it is and then show lots of it. That kind of was a bit odd.
I wouldn't say there was lots of it, but it seemed like a jeweler's table almost, with diamonds all sectioned off into. So I didn't mind.
Well,
that.
certain subsets have lots still, and it's just like, okay, yeah, fair enough.
It's not like it was big chunks of dilithium. So we can assume the mycelial network is now healed from all the damage that was caused before going through it.
Well, it exists at all times, so you wouldn't think of being different.
True. They kind of regressed the Orions again. I mean, in Lower Decks, we found out that most Orions haven't been pirates for almost 5 years now, and now a lot of them are kind of like.
I mean, it felt like an organized. I mean, for me, it didn't feel so much like the Nar Shaddaa, the Hutts. It didn't quite feel like that. More so much they've got they run an organization based on profit. That if you work with legitimately, it's fine. But if you tread them, if you go against them, they'll go against you worse. But they're not like trying to be dicks in a vicious way, unless. So a good balance of they're not just bad, because sad to see Andorians be a little bit Or then obviously they got the comedic too, which showed us they are still people. So there is some good things that very on Discovery like. Although one thing I will call out that I really didn't like, that stood out to me, is that when they're escaping, Michael Burnham grabs the weapon and starts disintegrating people. Just murders people, literally. I mean, I know it's life or death. I know you don't know how to use the gun, but her killing people continuously without any sense of remorse felt really weird to me. So I stopped murdering people.
And having only met one person, not knowing the full story, she could be murdering the equivalent of Starfleet right now. She could be murdering the good guys.
Yeah, and we just blanket over that. Like the show doesn't care that she's just killing people. Like Federation is stun, and she's disintegrating them. Alicia should say, "How do you put her to stun?" He says, "Oh, there is no stun." Okay, fine, whatever. But and then when the guys beam in and they just shoot where they beam in as if they're going to be in the same location. How stupid was that? It's like, guys, these are obviously trained militia people. What sort of ridiculous... And then you just massacre them. That was a really... I mean, okay, cool, keep jumping between locations, fine. But it was a stupid setup and a stupid way of doing it that made Michael Burnham seem way worse. Stop murdering people, please. You're just murdering. You know, there is no Starfleet right now. You're just yourself. It's James Bond without his license to kill. You're just killing people. It's not okay.
At the end, where she goes and meets the Starfleet guy, and she says, "I'm Commander Michael Burnham," and she goes her serial number and whatever, I half expected him to say, "Never heard of you," or "I don't know who you are. Trust me, I've had a lot of time to read all the records from Starfleet. And your ship, USS Discovery, you want me to search for it? Doesn't exist. Who are you?" I thought it'd take a lot more convincing, because considering everything was classified, I just assumed that. I mean, yes, he's eager to see somebody. I get it. And yeah,
anybody
not necessarily have access to all the records nor remember it all. But still, I expected that as soon as she said her name. I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be a tough sell for her trying to prove who she is. Nope, not yet. Anyway, I mean, it could still come up, but.
And I was actually expecting the opposite. I was expecting this awful scene where he's like, "I've been waiting for you, Commander Burnham." And it's like, what? Because they knew, because they knew that they were traveling 900 years in the future, and therefore there was a subroutine in the Starfleet systems to tell people to look out for them at this time. Because then when Discovery comes back, they can use technology to do cool stuff. So I was kind of happy. There was a sense of, okay, great, I see you, Commander Burnham. You're somebody. Cool. Doesn't matter who you are. Like, I kind of liked that ambiguity. That okay, thanks so much. Although again, good casting for him. Glad to see him. Although the alarm clock bird was both fun and real dumb. I mean, I guess it's a holographic bird probably as well. But again, the ending was the best bit. Apart from the general, they want to set up the universe. I appreciated that. It was just a bit dull in places, and just the Michael Burnham character, we don't care as much. If that was Mariner, honestly, I think it'd be a much better episode. For some, you understand her more. She's got more depth to her.
Good that the temporal wars were mentioned. I just want to mention that. So at least they acknowledge that fact. And the Federation only died like 100 years ago. It actually lasted 20 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, which obviously the 31st century it existed, so it had to exist. I mean, that was obviously, but they didn't retcon. It was real recent, which means there was a proud lineage of
So we can expect to see some flashbacks to, newly designed Federation ships crashing or being destroyed.
Oh no, they'll just be Discovery ships, Stuart.
They will be. I was just getting to that point because we saw this season on, and you see that the hospital ship, I can't remember the name of it now, crashing. And like I said, in this episode there were Discovery shuttles, so I was not impressed with that. Like I thought they had learned their lesson, but I guess not. The Hiawatha, that's the name of the ship class. Yes.
I'm hoping that's a flashback to them in the past, like her recounting some event in her timeline. Because if that's the past of I'm going to give benefit of the doubt there. They are not stupid enough to use Discovery era models in the 30th century.
I disagree 100%.
I mean, considering how much work and beautiful that alien creature was, that was their guy's pet, basically. Glorious. If they're letting this show down for ships, one of the most core principles of Star Trek, I mean, they've done it for years now. For Discovery Season 1, Discovery Season 2, God, let us down every single year with ships. But hopefully, not this time. So I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah, I'm going to call it right now. You're going to see Discovery ships crashing and blowing up in the burn.
I just don't want this to be canon this season. Like, it's a future. And they even do say a future at one point. Not the future, a future. Just it's its own thing. We can ignore it because that's the problem. This is now the present. Lower Decks is now the past. We know the Federation survives. They've now devalued the present because the present is now Discovery. We know where it goes unless they say it's a one possible future, like Endgame was a possible future, which means we can undo it easily, as is time travel. And obviously, even though time travel's been outlawed, it still exists in the point there is time travel. Temporal Cold War still is happening at the time. The Relativity is still with its temporal shields flying around, stopping time things from happening. It hasn't stopped being in time. It's just not been in time in the 3288s, you know.
That's all I can think of to talk about with this one. I was just kind of bored overall and wish it wasn't a total Michael Burnham story. I wanted to see a mix of the Discovery. Hopefully Discovery is the next episode where we get it arriving. And then episode 3 is like the reunion of the two of them. That'd be great.
Well, the fact they gave us so much universe building implies there's going to be some nice twists and turns. Who, why, and when. Maybe one of the reveals will be it is another time traveler from the Temporal Cold War, which caused the burn in the future. Like, they never thought to go into the future of their own timeline to mess up the future, because therefore, if they do that, then they'll be the ones with time travel in the future. Because remember, not that we give a damn, really. Michelle Yeoh has to go back into the past to be in Section 31 show. So there's still got to be time travel somewhere. They sent the Red Angels.
If they're doing that, if they're still doing that.
Yeah, not that we want them to, but they've announced it for 2 years, Stuart. They better do it.
Let us know in the comments what you thought about this episode. I'm just not as stoked as I was for Lower Decks.
Although I guess last note, though, it's a not very good Star Trek, but it's a decent enough sci-fi.
Absolutely.
Like, it was actually an okay episode of just generic sci-fi.
Yes.
Actually.
Yes, absolutely.
Just not very Star Trek-y.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people would agree with that. So let us know in the comments what you guys thought. Make sure you hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell icon to all, because we do a lot of great content, breakdown videos, and with new Discovery on the horizon, plus The Mandalorian and a whole bunch of other stuff. We're going to be busy for a while, so keep checking back with us and make sure you're subscribed. And join us for our live reviews and discussions, because we like to do a few of those every week.
We do. And of course, if you can support us directly via just the likes and joining us for those, then PayPal, Patreon, join the channel, super chat. Those are our main ways, and we love if you will join our lives, because then you can super chat, have direct conversation, and then join the channel while you're there. They make a massive difference. Or Patreon, again, the monthly service. These things are essential to allow us to do content, because we make all this content every single week for all these different shows for free, but we do need that direct support, and enough of you do give. But if more of you give, we can do more. It's a very linear curve of more is the more. But thanks in advance, and keep enjoying, and join us for live tonight.
That's right. So until then, guys, I am Captain Foley.
And I'm Colin Hungs. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.